These are true stories based on submissions from the BuzzFeed Unsolved network audience. These are their encounters. Back in 2016, I worked in a haunted house attraction in the backwoods of the South. This was my first time scare acting, and that season is what made me realize I had a passion for it. Anyway, there were 3 different haunts with all different themes, and I worked in the one with clowns. The furthest one from the clown haunt was a typical paranormal-inspired haunt. I always felt this dark feeling consumed the atmosphere in that haunt, but I didn't really give it a second thought until the experience I had in there. I was walking around before I went into hair and makeup, and decided to walk through the paranormal-themed haunt by myself to see what it was like. The first 2 rooms weren't that interesting, but the 3rd room I came to immediately sent shivers down my neck. The room was set up as a library with a real Ouija board displayed on a desk. No one was allowed to touch it, and it was just used as a prop, no string or magnets to make it move. As I'm looking at some of the book props, the planchette on the board starts circling and shaking violently. I ran out of the room and started talking about it to my coworkers, who also sensed the dark vibe around that haunt. Allegedly, during the first year of operation, one of the scare actors got a little too into his role and started to recite verses and text in Latin without proper research. To this day, everyone thinks that he conjured something dark into those backwoods and didn't realize it. The owner gets the grounds blessed by a priest, but that's about all they can do. The entity has done no harm to guests or actors, so it seemed all is well. But to this day, I fully believe that dark presence is lurking around in those backwoods, waiting for the day to turn sinister. I've always been a believer of ghosts, so I bought a Ouija board years ago. One night, my friends, Nina, Steve, and I decided to use it in my dorm room. We asked if anyone was there. The planchette slowly started to move to yes. I didn't think that there was something there. I thought my friends were doing it. So we asked what his name was. It spelled out R-A-Y, Ray. We asked how old he was. The planchette moved to 4. I still thought my friends were moving it, and they thought I was too. None of us believed that we were talking to something. And then my phone started ringing. I pulled it out of my pocket and saw that the person calling me was my friend Steve, who was sitting right next to me, not touching his phone. I told him he was calling me, and he pulled his phone out and told me he wasn't, and showed me his phone. Steve was not calling me. Nina told me to answer it, so I did, and the call dropped. I went into my recent call log, and it showed that I missed the call. Crazy thing is though, when Steve went to his recent call log, it showed that he had never called me. My phone showed that I missed a call, but Steve's phone showed no evidence of calling me. About 2 days later, I was sitting at my desk across from my roommate in our dorm room and felt a burning sensation on my back as I was just sitting down. I felt it for about 30 minutes before I got up and asked my roommate to look at my back. She told me there were scratches on my back and took a picture to show me. I had about 7 scratch marks on my back, red and bloody. I couldn't have done it because it was in an awkward spot on my back that I couldn't reach, and my nails were way too short to be able to scratch myself that badly. I didn't have those scratches earlier in the day, and only felt the burning on my back while I was sitting down in my desk chair, watching videos on the internet. Ghost or demon? I think so. I was 18 when this happened. I was hanging out with a couple of my friends, and one of them suggested that we go play the Ouija board. Granted, when we agreed to play, we didn't think she'd make us go out to the cemetery down the street from our house. When we arrived, we set up the board and started playing. We had a couple of responses, and we all accused each other of messing with the planchette. Then I turned around when I heard a stick break behind me. When I turned around, I saw a woman walking towards us in all black, but her attire was from the late 1800s. When I spoke up about it, the woman began walking faster, and everyone in the group took off running to go back to the car. Not realizing that one of my friends grabbed the board, we made her throw it in the trunk and we walked home. The next day, we went to get the car from where we parked it, but it was gone. We thought maybe it was towed, so we called the local towing company, and they hadn't picked up any cars with our description. So then we called the police thinking it was stolen, but they had nothing. A week later, we went to the DMV and searched for the car, and they couldn't even find a record with the VIN number. That's when we remembered we had left the car with the Ouija board in it. This was 20 years ago, and to this day, we have yet to have found this car.